Hi everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. Today I want to show you how I made I really love this card, how it turned out. It's always a surprise to me when I create a card kind of on the first go, and I love it so much. But this is made using the Gone Fishing bundle. And so if you've got someone who loves to fish in your family, or your friends, then this bundle is absolutely for you. It's just so much fun. There is a tackle box, and there is also a whole bunch of stamps and dies to cut out all of the lures and hooks and fish and all of the other things that go along with fishing. It's just such an amazing, amazing suite of products. So I want to show you how I put together the card that I shared as part of the Creativity Abounds blog hop today. So every month there's 13 of us, and we put a tutorial together as well as a blog card. So this is my blog card. My other card, so our theme this month is masculine. My other card is also features the Gone Fishing. So if you're interested in that tutorial, it is available on my, you head over to my website or my blog, and you'll be able to find the link to the tutorial. All right, let's get started. As I sit here and I'm looking at my card, I've realized I've forgotten one key piece of it, one product. It's the twisted rope embossing folder. So I'm going to quickly grab that, and then we can get to work on the card. All right. So let's bring in the products that I used. So this is the Gone Fishing bundle. It is part of a suite called, I think it's called Let's Go Fishing. So the bundle it's a photopolymer stamp set. It's two-step stamping. So you have images that create, images or stamps to be able to stamp the insides of many of these, which is really cool. And so that's what I've used. I've made a retirement card. I'll show you that in just a minute. And then this is the set of dies. Again, you've got a tackle box. This piece would create the bottom of the tackle box if you were going to use it. Some waves, a fish, and all sorts of things that you can use. And then this is the twisted rope embossing folder that I've used on the first layer of the card. Okay, so let's get started. I've already gone ahead. I've done a little bit of die cutting just so I'm not spending lots of time doing some die cutting, but there is a fair amount of die cutting on this card. So I've got some pieces cut out. Hopefully I won't lose them before I go to use them. I've got the top of the tackle box already cut out. I'm using Pebbled Path and Wild Wheat and Misty Moonlight. I really love that color combination. Okay, so we've got a piece of Pebbled Path that is 4 1/4 by 11. And we're going to score it at 5 1/2. So this is a 10th fold card. So as always, grab your bone folder and you fold into the mountain or the raised line and give it a good burnish with your bone folder. There we go. All right, so that's the card base. Now I've got a piece of basic white cardstock, and we're going to emboss that using the twisted rope. So let me just bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. We'll get that done. Out of the way. So this is a 3D embossing folder, so you need platform number 1, your embossing folder. And I don't know if you've ever realized this, but if you look at the front of the embossing folder where the Stampin' Up! Logo is, there's actually a line, and it helps you to line up your piece of cardstock. Particularly important if your embossing is directional. Okay, so platform number 1 and platform number 4 when you're using the 3D embossing folders. I'm going to need that in just a minute. Okay, this is such a pretty embossing folder. Just quite a very subtle, design or pattern. So we're just going to use a liquid glue. I like to use liquid glue when I've got done some embossing with an embossing folder, just because it gets into the nooks and crannies. Okay, so there we are. That's layer number 1. Now, the next piece is the top of the tackle box. So I've just gone ahead and cut this out of pebbled path. And if you wanted to, you could use the adhesive sheets. And I'm just going to use some liquid glue just to put it on in some kind of spots. Try to not get too much glue so it squidges out. That's why the adhesive sheets are good. I never seem to remember to use them until after I've got my piece cut out. But just use a little bit of glue. Use your silicone mat so you don't get your glue all over your grid paper. And then this piece will just go down on here. If you wanted to make it look 3-dimensional, you could cut some of the foam strips. You probably have to trim them a little bit. I think they're too wide as they are. They might just fit, but you could make it look 3-dimensional if you wanted to. But I've just adhered mine flat. Okay, so that's the base of our card. What we're going to do now is I've got some basic white. What we're going to do is do some stamping. And I probably should have pulled all my stamps out earlier, but let's get a bunch of blocks. Oopsie. And we're going to make this a retirement card. So the first thing we're going to do is stamp using Misty Moonlight. It's not upside down, doesn't really matter. I'm going to cut this out. So let's just stamp our sentiment. And then what else did I use? Let's put my card here so we can see. So we've got the float. Now on this card, I'm going to stamp it in Misty Moonlight. On the card, I actually colored it, but there is a base for that. So we will stamp that in Wild Wheat in just a minute. We want to stamp our lure. It's kind of fun. You can stamp these whatever colors you want, but I've just I've got one lure there. And let's just clean. Quickly clean. I'm going to re-stamp this in pebbled path, so I'm just going to grab a baby wipe just to clean that off. Just kind of a bunch of different fishing paraphernalia to fill in or to fill up our tackle box. What else have I got? Okay. And this one, I don't know the names of all of these. I'm sure some of you do, but I don't. Okay, so this is in Wild Wheat. Just kind of switching up some of the colors. So this lure is in Wild Wheat, a couple in Wild Wheat. And let's see, I've got that. Okay, I think I've got all of the bases. So then let's do some more two-step stamping. There are a lot of stamps to this. All right, so this is the little feather, and we're going to stamp that in Wild Wheat on both of these flies. Can't really see that, but anyway. Okay. Ooh. All right, and then we're going to stamp this in Wild Wheat. This is the bottom of the float. So our float on this card will be half and half. Now, pebbled, you need a lot of blocks for this, or you need to clean off your blocks and or clean off your stamps. Okay, so I want some Misty Moonlight for, I'm going to stamp off on that just so it's not quite so, that's a weight, I think. My dad wasn't a fly fisherman, but he definitely fished for salmon here on the West Coast once we moved out here. Now for this one, we are going to stamp in Wild Wheat, which I think is here. So I had some of these things, but not all of them. So this just goes at the front of that. Okay, so we got a bunch of our fishing gear stamped. Close these up so I don't make a mess because I've got lots of things going on here. And then I'll bring back the dies. So we're going to cut these out. So we can cut a number of them out at the same time. Okay, so there's the fly. And now I'm going to use Post-it note tape to hold these in place. You could use a Post-it note, you could use washi tape, whatever works to hold these dies in place as you're running them through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Especially when you've got so many, it's hard to keep track of what they're doing. Okay, there's that. I get this Post-it note tape off of Amazon if you're wondering. You may be able to buy it. I haven't seen it in Canada, but I haven't looked a lot. I just know that I can get it off of Amazon. There we go. Okay, so let's bring our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine back. This time we need different platforms. We need platform number 1, 2, and then 2 of our cutting plates, which are number 3. So we're going to run this through. So that cuts out a number of them. Put them so I don't lose them. So I need to cut this one out again. Oopsie. Tearing my Post-it note tape, so I want to reuse it. Okay, so that goes, oopsie, on there. See, I actually move them around even when I'm trying to position them. So that's why I like the Post-it note tape or washi tape or something to hold these in place. Okay, there we go. Run that through, and then we should be good to start assembling our card. Put this over here. Okay. There are a lot of moving parts with this card, so this is a card you probably are going to give to someone special, because it's one of those ones that takes a little bit of it's definitely an avid card. So maybe your husband or your dad or a son or a brother, somebody. Okay, so that's got my sentiment on it. We don't want to lose that. Okay, so we've got our pieces. I think we've got everything cut. I went ahead and cut out some pieces in wild wheat, and I went ahead and cut 2, they're on here, they're 2 hooks out of Pebbled Path. So we will use our take your pick tool to push those out. They're definitely pretty small and delicate, so you don't want to lose those. Okay, so there are my dies. Let's put those back before I lose them. Okay, we've got our pieces. Now let's bring in our card base. Okay, so going the right way. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out my sentiment, and I just cut this into 2 pieces. Not really worried about how straight it is. I'm just really wanting to cut it into 2 pieces, and I'm going to use dimensionals. So we're going to get pretty close here so I don't cut off the bottom of the peas. And happy. So you could just use it in 1 piece, but I don't know, I tend to fussy cut my sentiments. Those of you that follow me know that. And I also like to kind of cut up sentiment. So I think I need a mini dimensional on this one because it's pretty small. There we go. Oops. Pulled my dimensional off. There we go. All right, so let's just put happy, kind of like that. And then we can start arranging all of the fishing gear around it. Just kind of, there we go. Okay, so we're going to use dimensionals on some of these pieces, and we're going to adhere some flat. So some I can use like this float. I can use a regular size dimensional, and some I'm going to need to use mini dimensionals, and some I'll probably use some glue dots on. This is a, I don't know, I'd call this a flasher. I think that's the name of it. I don't know that for sure, but my dad used to use flashers when he was fishing. I think they're used to attract the fish. Okay. So you can arrange these however you want to arrange them. I'm just kind of filling in the sections of the tackle box. And then let's put, all right, I think I can fit that. There we go. Like that. Another one of those. Like that. That one will be kind of over top of one of the sections. Now we got these two. I think they're weights. If you're watching this, let me know, because I may have some of these names wrong. You might know better than I do. Okay, now have I got everything? The only thing I need is I'm going to just put a little dot of glue where I want the hooks to go. You can try and put glue on the back of the hook, but I find that this is just a little bit of glue where you want that hook to go. It's very delicate. Okay, there we go. Oops. Like that. Okay, and then I did some cutting out. There are these little, I think they're floats as well that would go on a net. There was 3 that got cut out, and I seem to only have 2. They're pretty small. So the best thing to do with these, so you don't lose them like I have, is to take, as soon as you've cut them out with your die, take and put them on a glue dot. I'm sure I'll find the other one as soon as I go to clean up my mess. So we're just going to use a glue dot. And then this one, I don't know what that's for, but we'll just take and use it as well. I'm sure it's for something particular, but we will just take, and I'm just kind of filling in some of the gaps on my card. Doesn't look exactly like my card that I made before, but that's okay. And then the last thing I want to do for the front of the card is I've got some pebbled path. These are the in color dots. So we'll just put 3 of these on, again, wherever you want them to go. Like that. I think I got my positioning is a little bit different on the card that I'm making now. Now I have a piece of basic white, and I'm just going to take and stamp, I think, one of those, the flies, and I will just stamp it in pebbled path here in the bottom right corner. And there it is. Do the feather in wild wheat. Like that. And did I do anything else on this? I can't remember. Nope, I didn't. Okay, so let's take that. And let's get my ink out of the way so I don't get ink on the card. There we go. All right, so there is the inside of the card, just one of those flies. And there is the card. So a little bit of cutting, a little bit of prep work. Again, it's probably a card that you're going to give to someone very special because it is a little bit of work. But it's so much fun to kind of cut out all of those pieces. And for me, it's a time to start kind of remember my dad and the fishing that he did. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me. If you have any questions about this card, please leave a comment on YouTube if you're watching. If you find your way over to my blog, leave a comment. Let me know if you love my card, or if you have questions, you can leave a comment over there. If you're coming in through YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can be notified when I go live or when I post an upcoming tutorial. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me. Have a great day. Happy stamping. Bye.